Donald Trump has personally picked out multiple different individuals to challenge in the primaries this year, the Republicans who voted to impeach him last year. And I gotta tell you, the incumbents aren't sweating it one bit. They're not suffering one bit. In fact, according to a recent report from the New York Times, the individuals who voted to impeach Donald Trump, people like Cheney and Upton, they're doing better than ever. These people are outraising their opponents by astronomical margins. Let me just read these two, because these are two of the big ones here. Liz Cheney raised $2 million in the last quarter of 2021. $2 million in what is considered to be one of the safest congressional districts in the country for Republicans. And she raised $2 million in 3 months. She is now sitting on a war chest of $5 million. Her hand-picked Trump opponent raised $443,000 and has about $380,000 cash on hand. So they raised more than they have on hand because they're incurring nothing but debts. So not going so well for Liz Cheney's challengers, even though Liz Cheney has been censured. The RNC might cut off funding for her. But if they continue this, the RNC might have to come knocking and say, Liz, can we borrow some money? Because the RNC is actually not doing such a good job raising money this year. Then you have Fred Upton. He brought in $726,000, has $1.5 million cash on hand, but his Trump-endorsed challenger, Steve Carra, has raised $134,000 and has $200,000 cash on hand. So he's not doing well either. But here's the thing. None of these Republicans that Trump has put out there, I know he thinks they were, none of them are real, serious, decent candidates. And it's exceptionally hard to get people to vote against the incumbents, especially ones that they've known for years and years and years, just because Donald Trump doesn't like them. When you go back and look at the records of these individuals, aside from breaking with Republicans on the impeachment, on about 99% of all the other issues, they vote along party lines. They do not deviate. They do not flip-flop back and forth between votes. You can probably find one or two examples. I know some of them voted for infrastructure, sure. But besides that, they voted with Republicans every single time they voted last year. These are good Republicans. I don't mean that to say they're good Republicans. I mean they're good little Republicans. They're going to do what the party wants them to do, even when the party censures them. They're still going to toe that party line. They're not going to step out of place. They just happen to be smart enough to understand that, one, an infrastructure bill is sorely needed in this country, and two, Donald Trump is taking our party down the toilet. But the RNC says, so what? If he's taking us into the toilet, let's flush it. Let's all go down with him because that's how stupid we all are. But the other issue that Republicans have, even though the Trump-endorsed candidates are not doing well, and it is having the effect that studies have shown when Trump endorses a candidate, usually their challenger ends up raising more money, and that is, of course, what is happening here. When he endorses somebody, their odds of winning drop below 50% because most of the people he endorses do not win. But he himself, Donald Trump, has raised well over $100 million in the past year. The RNC has less than half of what Trump has on hand. So the Republican Party itself is not doing well. The people Trump hates are doing well, but then Trump himself is also doing exceptionally well. So it's a weird time for people that report on campaign finance right now, trying to make heads or tails of what's going on. But I think it boils down to this. Donald Trump still has that big personality. He has that drawl to get people to come in, and they will support him and continue giving him money. And most of his money, of course, is coming from average, everyday people. And so, too, is some of the money going to people like Cheney and Upton and all these others. But they're also still getting a ton of corporate cash. And that's what's different. See, Trump is not, because he turns off these corporations. But at the end of the day, these corporations are the backbone of the Republican Party. They don't know if they can trust these people that Trump is endorsing to challenge them in the primaries. So they're going to stick with what they've got because they know it works. They know that if we give some money to Liz Cheney, she's going to do exactly what we here at Raytheon want to do. If Exxon gives money to Fred Upton, it's because they know Upton is going to do what Exxon wants. That's why those folks are raising so much money. And of course, the money goes directly to them instead of the RNC because they don't trust the RNC to spread it out to the people they want to have it. That is what is really happening. So these numbers do mean a lot, but unfortunately, it means a much, much worse Republican Party than what we're even seeing right now. This is Hattie. Hattie wants to know why you have not subscribed to our channel. You obviously like our videos, so do us a favor and subscribe.